This program has gone all over the United States, coast to coast, and around the world. And our email boxes and our posting and our blog sites, we get we get shout outs and attaboys from people literally all over the world. Every time we open our phones on this program, this is not a caller driven show, but from time to time we stop, we open the phones. I mean, from coast to coast. And sometimes international calls, but we just people from all over the United States. So I thank you so much to our amazing audience, and I'm always getting such good positive feedback and encouragement, and we appreciate that. We don't take it for granted, and we're not able to answer every one. Our email box explodes all the time, and people on comment blogs and boards and things, but just know we see them or we hear about them, and deeply, deeply appreciate it. Let me say to our audience right now, I'm going to bring on Mike Shoesmith. We've got some amazing things to talk about, and he's got some great insight. Before we do, though, let me remind you, tomorrow, go to carlgallups.com. In fact, go there anytime, because you can click on Listen Live. You can hear us live right there. And you can click on Podcast, and so you can get this show sometime tomorrow afternoon. It'll all be posted. And you can see hundreds and hundreds of videos that are archived at my server, carlgallups.com, on a page section of the website called CarlTube. All right? Not YouTube, but CarlTube. And what's so cool about it, you've got all these videos that have been on YouTube for years that made PNN News and Ministry Network YouTube just I don't know, insanely viral. 60 million views, 70,000 subscribers. It's unbelievable. But hundreds of those videos are on my server. In a page that's so easy to surf and to get to whatever video you want. It's called CarlTube. You'll see that right on the Carl Gallups landing page, carlgallups.com. That's there, and it's really cool because you don't get nasty comments and bullying and all this political correctness, and we're going to take this video down because we don't like it. None of that. It's my server. It's my site. It's called CarlTube. So check that out if you've not seen that. All right. In the meantime, before I bring Mike Shoesmith on, let me just say this. 6 days, folks. 6 days until D-Day. D-Day. I said D-Day. That stands for Donald Day. Donald Trump inauguration. 6 days and a few hours. A few hours. You know, say, A-Dog's looking at me saying, no, that's 7 days, man. That's a week. No, but the inauguration will happen before Freedom Friday comes on the air, which is going to be so cool. So, see, 6 days and some hours, and it's D-Day. Oh, I hope we get a breath. Mike Shoesmith, I think we're going to get some breathing room. I think I see God's hand in all of this. I really do. Not saying that Donald Trump is the savior of America. I've never said that, but I've endorsed him and you've endorsed him. You endorsed him before I did. And then I started endorsing him through media, in TV and radio media. Fox News even featured me with a picture of me and talked about me endorsing him. And then I opened a rally for him here on the Northwest Florida Gulf Coast in Pensacola. Opened that in prayer. I was honored to do that. So I've been in with Trump before he ever won the general, before he won the primary and was in the general election, because I just think that the man feels like most of the heartbeat of America concerning so many things. There's some things I disagree with Trump on. He has a much softer stand on the homosexual issue and homosexual marriage than I do. But, we can't have everything. But, I mean, Hillary Clinton was getting ready to sink this ship, Mike Shoesmith.
Well, absolutely. I mean, a week from today, there will be a new sheriff in the Oval Office, right?
Mm-hmm.
But all of this talk about Donald Trump has really pushed to the sidelines equally pressing news here out of the global community. There's a new sheriff in town in the global sense here is out. He served his full term as United Nations Secretary General. There's a new guy in charge as of January the 1st. There's a new United Nations Secretary General. And this guy scares the daylights out of me and should scare the daylights out of anybody who loves America and anybody who loves Israel. It's time for Israel and the United States to get out of the UN, Carl. This guy's name is Antonio Guterres. Who is this guy? Guterres was the Prime Minister of Portugal from 1995 to 2002. He was the Secretary General of the Socialist Party from 1992 to 2002. Now, let's back up here a little bit, Carl. If the foremost expert on communism, Karl Marx, saw no daylight between communism and socialism, and he used those two words interchangeably.
Yes, he did.
I think it's safe for us to do that as well, right? We could use those two because he did that. He saw no distinction between communism and socialism. Therefore, we, for the purpose of this discussion, will see likewise no distinction between socialism and communism. So, this guy Guterres, he was served as president of the Secretary General of the Communist Party of Portugal between 92 and 2002. But here's the kicker. We're leading up to some shocking news here, by the way. Guterres served as president of Socialist International from 99 to 2005. What is Socialist International? Otherwise known as Communist International. The Socialist International is a worldwide association of political parties, hundreds of them, by the way, most of which seek to establish democratic socialism or democratic communism. It consists mostly of democratic, socialist, or communist, social democratic, and labor political parties. Remember that word, labor political parties and other organizations. Socialist International or Communist International has close ties through membership with left-wing Puerto Rican Independence Party, as well as former communist parties, such as the Democratic Party of the Left of Italy. Remember Mussolini? Hello. And the Front for the Liberation of Mozambique. So why should Benjamin Netanyahu, and by extension Israel, why should they watch their backs? Well, here's the thing. In an October issue of the Jerusalem Post, writer Gil Hoffman used the title, New Chief Guterres, a Friend of Israel. Okay, he's calling him a friend of Israel. In the article, the writer quotes former Labor Party, remember we use that word, Labor Party leaders Shimon Peres and Ehud Barak, who served as Prime Minister from 99 to 2001, when he was defeated by Likud leader Ariel Sharon. No doubt you remember that. We talked extensively about Ariel Sharon, the prophetic implications and all of that. He's got prophetic connections to Rabbi Yitzhak Kaduri. You mentioned all of this in your book, The Rabbi Who Found Messiah, which is still going gangbusters all over the world, by the way. Here comes the shocker, the initial shocker. This is the initial shocker here. We have a shocker and then a bigger shocker.
Okay.
The Labor Party of Israel, okay, is associated with supporting the Israeli-Palestinian. Okay, now this first sentence is very benign. It's all very unicorns and lollipops, right? The Labor Party is associated with supporting Israeli-Palestinian peace process. Well, who doesn't want peace, right? Pragmatic foreign affairs policies and social democratic economic policies. Yahoo! Let's all get on that bandwagon, right? Here's where it gets scary. The party, in other words, the Labor Party of Israel, is a member of the Socialist International, and Progressive Alliance, which is a who's who of hundreds of global communist, progressive political parties. The Labor Party of Israel, many people will not know this, is a member of Socialist International, a communist organization. And they are an observer member of the Party of European Socialist Communists. Okay, now, if we take that and contrast that with Netanyahu's Likud party, which was founded in 1973 by Menachem Begin, it's a center-right Israel First secular party, meaning no religious affiliation. That's why Benjamin Netanyahu can speak so openly and frankly and quite honestly friendly about Christianity, right? He's a friend of Christian. The Likud party has no religious affiliation.
Right.
Okay, Benjamin Netanyahu, Likud's leader now, and current Prime Minister of Israel, he's going to face some stiff opposition in the UN, Carl, because the Likud party defeated the Labor Party. The Labor Party and the Likud party, they are bitter political enemies in Israel.
Wow.
So now we have the Labor Party, which is associated with the Socialist International group, a global communist group. They are now running the United Nations. This is amazing stuff. Now, they're going to face stiff opposition not just from the UN Security Council, but Guterres himself, a communist, remains in close contact with Perez and former Minister Ehud Barak, who both, now get this now, they both served under this Guterres guy, subservient to him in top posts in the Socialist International.
Yeah.
This is all amazing stuff,
It
Carl.
is. It
all
is.
these guys, Ehud Barak, Perez, Gutierrez, they're all buddy, chummy in this global communist group called the Socialist International.
Yeah,
it's huge.
This does not bode well for Israel, particularly when you consider the last several things that have come out of the United Nations, declaring that the Temple Mount really has no Jewish connection. There was never a temple there. And then declaring, of course, that Israel must return to its 67 borders and give up more land, and I mean, on and on and on. And of course, the Security Council, I mean, under the leadership of Barack Obama, there was no the veto power that we have in the Security Council. And so we didn't even show up to veto it, first time in history.
Right.
I mean, so now this Antonio Guterres, who stands diametrically opposed to everything that we and Israel would stand for, and now he's the new Secretary General. So I see some prophetic implications on the horizon. What about you, Mike?
Well, absolutely. I mean, and I was just going to say that we've got an even bigger shocker coming here regarding this Guterres guy.
Okay,
but
stop.
We'll get to that after the break.
Yeah, I was going to say, you go ahead and tease it, and then let's take a break, and we'll come back.
Yeah, no, it's an even bigger shocker than that. But and this is why Israel needs to be very careful about this Guterres guy. But you're right about the prophetic implications, because we talked about how America is mentioned in the Bible. We see the founding of America in the Bible. But then mysteriously we get to Revelation 13, and America, the eagle's wings are gone. Hello.
Yeah.
So what happens? Well, we have speculated in the past that either America is destroyed from within, or America refuses to take part in the global movement to form what the Bible calls the whole world will rise up against Israel. I don't think Trump's going to get on board with that.
I don't think either, and I think we're in for some very prophetic revelations. We got to take a quick time out, Mike. I hear the music. We got to go. We'll be right back in just a moment. Mike Shoesmith, he says the next biggest revelation about the UN and what's getting ready to happen with Israel is coming up right after the break, so don't go anywhere. Mike Shoesmith, who is the executive editor of PNN News Ministry Network, so you were teasing us, you were telling us, but there's another big, profound connection to this new Secretary General coming into the United Nations. Mike, go ahead, take the last few minutes and tell us about it.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. By the way, I've been told by listeners that whenever I talk about communism, I always shout too loudly. So I apologize for doing that. I've tried to tone it down a little bit today. I'm very passionate. I think the world drastically needs an education on communism and the harmful effects of it. But, here's the big shocker. In the Jerusalem Post article that we referenced before the break, the writer goes, now some people may be tempted to say, oh, that Mike Shoesmith, he's just hyping this up, to get ratings. This guy's not going to hurt Israel. He's just going to be like, Kofi Annan and all the rest of them. He's just going to be a good thing for Israel. Listen to this. The Jerusalem Post article writer goes on to report statements by Ehud Barak, who said, quote, that's Guterres, his views are closer to those of Israeli writer Amos Oz, more on him in a moment, than Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Now, here's the thing. Now, I'm still quoting here. His stances, that's Guterres' stances, reflect those of the world. The world's view of Israel is that it hopes to see a different Israel.
Yes.
If the government could act differently, it could change how Israel is seen. This is the view of Guterres, right? So who's this Amos Oz? This is amazing. Amos Oz is an Israeli writer, novelist, journalist, and intellectual. He is also a professor of literature at Ben-Gurion University in Beersheba. He, Carl, is regarded as Israel's most famous living author. Oz was one of the first Israelis to advocate a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. He was the founder of, let me see if I can find it here. He's the founder of a group called Peace Now. I don't know if you've ever heard of this group. I didn't know much about him until I did research for this article, which, by the way, you can read all of this, folks, at the Freedom Friday Facebook page, facebook.com/Freedom Friday. Now, what is Peace Now? Peace Now, founded by Amos Oz, views the Israeli settlements currently going on in the West Bank as a threat to the existence of Israel as a democratic and Jewish state. So, I mean, there you have it, right? The new UN Security General, Antonio Guterres, is a communist, holds these very same views, according to longtime friend and underling communist Ehud Barak. And I'm just simply calling on Benjamin Netanyahu to watch his back with these guys. And, on a more drastic level, but yes, lots of people are calling for this in chorus with Mike Shoesmith. Let's get the heck out of the UN.
Yes.
Let's get that.
Thank you.
They're taking up valuable real estate in New York City. Let's get out of the UN, kick them out of the country until we can form something more beneficial to the world. These are, listen, the communists have taken over vast portions of the world through these groups called Socialist International, etc. They have now taken over the United Nations. But that is happening before our very eyes here. And until we wake up and get a real education on the harmful effects of communism, this free world that we now enjoy in America, and thanks to the freedoms in America, Canada enjoys a lot of freedoms because of that.
Yeah.
That may be over in our generation.
Well, Mike, let me interject here because, see, you've brought us a lot to the table, and I really appreciate your insight and your education, the educating us on this topic and giving us some perspective. And so here's what I'm thinking as I'm listening to all this. Look, I don't know how to balance this, and then, Mike, I want you to weigh in on it, but let me just say, this is just coming off the top of my head, although it's deep in my heart, folks, so bear with me. I prayed along with tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions of Christians in America for God to deliver us from Hillary Clinton and to give us Donald Trump, perhaps for some breathing room. Donald Trump says, let's make America great again. I say, let's make the church great again. That was not going to happen under Hillary Clinton. But maybe Donald Trump, at least he's a friend of the church. He's a friend of the Constitution. He's a friend of America, so far. We'll see. But I know so many Christians in America, Mike, they're sitting back on their laurels saying, okay, back to the lattes and football games. We got Donald Trump. Everything's good again. It's going to be like Ronald Reagan. Maybe, maybe not, because the world is coming apart at the seams. It's going out of its mind. It is demonic. The globalist spirit of Antichrist is alive. It's thick. It's thicker than ever. It hates Donald Trump. It hates America. It hates Israel. It hates Christianity and Judaism. It hates the people of God. It exalts all manner of perversion, including radical Islam. And that is to be contended with. And Mike, you and I both know the Bible says that there's coming a generation where globalism will win for at least 7 years. Right. There will be a one-world ruler. There will be a one-world marking system. There will be hell on earth for a few of those years as he unleashes his fury against the people of God. Now, I don't know. You and I have been kind of trying to hold it back through our preaching and teaching and praying and getting people involved and engaged. Maybe Donald Trump will be used of God this way, or maybe God will use him to bring it all to fruition. Mike, you got 1 minute. What do you think?
Judgment begins with the church, Carl. There's been too much Hollywood-style, Jesus is my boyfriend Christianity in the West.
Thanks.
God is going to harden up his people, and it may take fire and persecution to do that. Yeah. So we don't have crystal. We don't know what the future brings. Yeah. Donald Trump is not the savior, and you know what? His terms may be short. We don't know what's coming, but he is a trumpet. He's sounding the truth, and we need to listen, pay attention. And the church, we need to make the church great again.
Yeah, thank you. Tell people how to get a hold of you, Mike Shoesmith, and we got to go.
ppsimmons@live.com. The PNN network is everywhere. And thank you, Carl, for having me on your show again. Happy New Year, by the way. I haven't spoken to you since last year.
Thanks. That's right.
Thanks, Mike. I love you guys. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay, good deal. Well, folks, you stay tuned because Brandon Big B's coming up for this last hour. We've got some amazing stuff to give you, some update and on the Arpaio Obama birth certificate fraud. Brandon has some amazing commentary on a dramatic revelation from the Rick and Bubba show that's going to tie right here. We'll be back in a minute.